Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's What's Up Wednesday series. If you're new here, we meet with guests of our network and share resources out to our industry. Today, we have one of our very own Early Head Start Childcare Partnership Specialists with us, Sue Kansteiner. She's going to be going over all things people first language versus identity first language and highlighting kind of its effects on the ECE industry itself. So hi, Sue. Welcome and thank you for being here and welcome to your first What's Up Wednesday. Thanks for joining today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Good deal. Kick us off today by briefly explaining your role here with ELV and kind of how long you've been on the team. We're pretty similar in that.
Yes, I'm a childcare partnership specialist, and I have worked in this role for a little over 2 years. I currently work with 2 childcare centers and 1 family childcare home with the Early Head Start program. I support site leadership. I coach Early Head Start teachers. I help families enroll in the Early Head Start program, and I provide continued support to families.
Awesome. Yeah, kind of a huge handful of jobs there. You guys are many hats that you guys wear. That's awesome. We're appreciative of you guys. So break it down for us, for everyone. What is people first language and identity first language for our topic today?
People first language puts the person before the disability, and it describes what a person has, not who a person is. And people first language uses phrases like person with a disability or children with disabilities. Identity first language places the disability or identity first in the description of the person. Some identity first language may sound like mentally ill or autistic child.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, kind of explaining that a little bit to give some background. So what is your goal or purpose today in talking about this topic with us?
Well, I want to bring awareness about people first and identity first language.
Mm-hmm.
Several years ago, I attended a seminar on first person language. Since then, I have been consciously aware of my choice of words when identifying a person or a child that has a disability. I was a licensed family child care provider at the time, and I cared for a child that had a learning disability. Instead of referring to this child as learning disabled, I learned to refer to him as having a learning disability. And when I saw a wheelchair sign at a parking space, I learned to call it accessible parking, not handicap parking.
Right.
So in listening to my colleagues and other professionals, I became aware that many people do not use people first language, or they don't know what it means. So I became curious, and I decided to do some research on the topic. And I want to share that so that others may be more aware of the language they are using when referring to a child or a person with a disability or a specific characteristic.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. That's something different from what we've had on here before. So I'm very intrigued, and definitely it's something that we all need to educate ourselves on if we're not well educated on it right now. So share a little bit about that history that you were talking about regarding people first language and identity first, and kind of how that's evolved over the years to now.
Well, in the early 1970s, the People First movement was started at the first self-advocacy conference. And this movement aimed to empower people with disabilities by emphasizing their individuality and personhood rather than their disability. Person first language separated the person and the disability and focused on the person. Since the 1970s, there's been a big shift in the way we view and talk about disabilities in general. A major part of that shift is moving away from person first language. Many disabled communities are now advocating for a shift to identify first language, which is an approach that views a person's disability as an integral part of their identity. And this surprised me as I was doing my research, because I was taught from the seminar I attended a few years ago to always use first person language. So in my research, I learned that not all communities feel the same way, and individuals within those communities are varied. However, as awareness and understanding of disability increases, many people no longer see the need to separate the person from their disability. They see their disability as an important part of their identity and want to be referred to it in a way that reflects that. A rationale of person first language is that it's based on a belief that disability is seen as something negative. If we talk about gender or religion, they don't usually raise concerns, as these features are regarded as neutral or positive characteristic. For example, I am a female and versus I am a person who is female, or I am Catholic versus a person who is Catholic. So over this last year or so, there's been much conversation about equity and equality. Mm-hmm. I'm becoming more aware of the words I use and how they may offend someone. I think first person language and identity first language is very much connected with how we include one another in our communities. So this makes me stop and think about the words I use when referring to a specific child or person.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. So kind of to relate that back to the ECE industry and our roles in daily work here at ELV, why do you think it's important that we acknowledge this and address it around children at such a young age?
It's important to address children and families the way that makes them feel the most comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Young children are learning their identity and how they fit in the world. They are very impressionable, and these words and phrases make a great impact on their self-esteem and how they see themselves in the community and in the world.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great start. And obviously it takes everybody to kind of continue that communication and build that up as they grow older, but starting it as early as possible is crucial. So what are some things people can be doing better at this time if they may be in a habit that they've grown accustomed to speaking this way?
Well, I believe that we all act and speak from our own frame of reference, the way we grew up, what we learned along the way, and the interactions we have had. My preference or what I was taught doesn't matter when I'm referring to a child or another person. It's about acknowledging, honoring, and respecting each person or child's own lived experience. So this is an issue of approaching our families with respect and not making assumptions based on our experiences. We need to listen to our families and follow their lead in order to provide the best care. We need to be aware of unconscious biases. So my invitation to you all is to be more conscious and aware of finding out what our children and families want, to intentionally ask even if you are uncomfortable. I need to be aware of my own privilege and not assume everyone is like me. Being aware of first-person language and identity-first language can help us be aware of the words we use and intentionally choose words that show respect for that individual child and family. So doing this research, really, I went into this at the beginning thinking I want to share first-person language. And I still do, but doing this research has helped me to realize something more. I have learned that first-person language may not be the answer all the time. So personally, I'm choosing to be open to learning and growing and heightening my awareness. This research helped me realize that even though I was taught to use first-person language, not all children and families want to be referred that way.
Yeah. It's pretty case by case. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, kind of just being open and vulnerable to learning more and being better all the time. So yeah, just to wrap up here, I'm just going to open it up to you. Feel free to share any resources, suggestions, kind of feedback or tips to those who would like to dive deeper into this and just want to educate themselves more.
Yes, I have sent you some resources that I've used, and there's many more out there. So please feel free to share that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll comment those down below, whatever platform you're watching this on. If it's the blog, the website, Instagram, linked, or Facebook, whatever the case may be, I'll make sure it's included in the comments. But that's all I've got for you, Sue. We appreciate it so much. I know this was your first one, but you did great. Thanks so much, Sue. Bye, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.